observe your dad and Carlene interacting.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us what you observed about Carlene helping him and what happened to that relationship.
Yeah, I mentioned that me seeing him in person was about 3 months after the accident, and I just really saw Carlene step up in a way, of, oh, Terry, don't forget your jacket. We're getting ready to go. Repeating conversations that he had missed where he was like maybe out of the picture, and she would fill him in of, Anna's going to go here, or, she just was caring and stepped up where he seemed a little slow.
What happened to that relationship?
I don't really know. I wish I'd had the opportunity to really talk with her, but I didn't. Like I said, the last time I saw her was at that graduation, and so
that was May of
2016, and I think because we had neighbors and friends and my mom and everyone there, I didn't get to have a private conversation really about how my dad was doing, or how their relationship was going and if she was doing okay.
At Hope's graduation, your mom came?
Yes.
The one that he had divorced, right?
Right.
And how'd they get along?
They don't get along. There's usually a lot of distance. I mean, they share family members, so I think they're respectful of that and come to the shared celebrations, but they don't usually converse or connect.
Was he respectful?
Was my mom respectful?
No, your dad.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
That go round.
That go round. Okay. Any change in his social life and friends that you observed?
Mm-hmm.
Tell us what it would be.
I'm not super close with his friendships, but it does feel like they've kind of fallen away. Relationships, friendships has been really hard for him to navigate.
You told me once that it was a lot harder for him. He had to work a lot harder to be a friend. Is that a fair statement? Explain that. Explain that.
It feels like after the accident, he's a little more involved with his own world, and that's harder to sustain connections when it's kind of about me right now. That's a change. I didn't, and that makes it really hard to just to genuinely care about people. That's part of our connection.
Have you observed any personality changes, and if so, what have you observed?
I think it's kind of connected to feeling overwhelmed. So he's easily frustrated. He gets agitated, angry for the first time. Like I didn't have memories of him being an angry person, but he's got a pretty short fuse these days.
Since the accident?
Yes. Yeah.
What about any other personality changes come to mind?
I think he's just a little more cautious, not as confident.
Is he having fun?
No. I think he's in a really negative place, and that's hard for me as his daughter.
Based on what you have seen since the crash, okay, as a daughter who apparently loves him, it's evident, would you recommend that he travel overseas by himself?
No.
Why not?
No. I think the disorientation, I think he needs help. I think.
If he goes with someone, is that okay, do you think? If he has a friend that goes with him?
I think it depends on the someone.
All right. Someone who's trustworthy.
Yeah, who cares about him.
Any observations about executive function changes since the ski crash?
Well, I mentioned just no ability to multitask, really.
So lost that.
Yeah. I I think, again, not seeing the forest for the trees, really, really caught in minutia. And I don't see him like reading a book or, you know, those kind of things that would previously be enjoyable.
Just a few more questions for you. Everybody has negative traits, right? Or traits that aren't refined to the extent that it would be helpful to be refined, right?
Sure.
Okay. And your dad probably has some of those. I'd like you to tell the jury if you saw any increase in intensity of negative traits after the ski crash. If so, what did you see?
I have this example that had happened when we were sitting on his back deck on a summer day, and I could kind of see into the neighbor's back patio, and it looked like she had done a lot of work. She had kind of some neat rugs and place to meditate, and I was like, wow, that's a neat spot they created there. And my dad you know, started going on about where they had planted a tree and right in his view, and I thought, okay, that's super small and petty. You have a really beautiful view right here, you know. And then he said, I'm pretty sure like she puts her garbage can right there. She does that just to make me mad. And then he said, you wouldn't believe what she did. I did get a letter from her apologizing. She sent a card saying, I am so sorry, I shouldn't have done that. But when he wasn't home, she had gone and moved a pile that he had that was just outside of his gardening stuff and tools and kind of a messy pile. He had put it on his boundary, and so that was probably what she was seeing when she was gonna meditate or whatever. And so she had come over to move the pile so that it was out of sight. And so in this card, she had just said, I just wanted to apologize. That was so wrong. And he was so upset that she had done that. And I said, that's really huge of her to acknowledge.
So he refused to acknowledge the apology?
Yes. And the fact that she was human, had made a mistake, she had apologized. And I kept thinking, you know, those relationships with our neighbors, I love my neighbors. And my dad's always had good neighbors, right? So I thought, we had gotten into kind of a disagreement that morning because I was like, those are really small things.
How different is that from how he was before the crash?
I feel like, you know, even if you had a difference of opinion, we could always kind of reason through it, agree to disagree, get along, take care of one another. And so that was a hard thing for us to talk about, is that's small and you're bigger than that, you know. And it's kind of reversed because he was my dad that gave me those values, and then it feels like they've kind of fallen away and he's stuck in that. But I'm so mad and I'm so frustrated, you know.
Any change in his cognitive functioning that you haven't already talked about? Kind of summarize that, would you? Cognitive functioning.
Yeah, I think his operating system is not quite as slow as that initial year and a half where I was just,
There's been some improvement.
Some improvement. I think he's been really dedicated to sort of
Working hard.
He is a I will work hard kind of guy, maybe to a fault, but yeah.
What about the negatives? Any negatives in his cognitive functioning that remain that you've seen? You've mentioned some already, but...
And a lot of it goes with that inability to multitask. I think I see it in that, if I could describe, like, when we're conversing or whatever, I don't feel like he hears me. I don't feel like when he has a conversation with my kids that he actually hears them. I think he's, like, processing or thinking about what he's going to say next, but that is something that's really apparent to me, that I just feel like, where are you? Where is your headspace right now? Because you're not here with me or with my kid. You know, I can witness that.
I want to talk to you about changes in friendships. We already talked about Carlene Davidson.
Right.
Do you know someone named Robin Dale?
I do.
Was there a change in that friendship? And if so, tell us what it was.
Yeah. That turned out to be pretty bad. To the point where, and they had traveled together. I think they went to Costa Rica, maybe.
After the crash, right?
After the crash, they would have gone. They would have traveled.
What happened to Robin Dale?
Yeah, I was at the public library one day and I got a phone call from Robin. And
About what month of what year, give or take?
gosh, I wish I'd brought my phone or had it. I'm following court rules. I think 2017, if I had to guess. She said,
Sustained?
Well, I'm not offering for the truth of what happened, but just for how this affected his friendship.
and
Just-
Still your second.
I don't know how you can separate it. You're offering it for what purpose?
I want to show how the friendship changed.
Okay, I'll allow it for that limited purpose.
Go ahead.
so she called and she had said, I need you to reach out to your dad. I'm not feeling safe right now, and I'm going to have her young son, we're going to move back into my place. And I said, what do you mean you don't feel safe, And she had said, I've asked your dad several times not to attend my yoga class, and he has shown up. And I'm thinking, seriously? Like, you asked him and he showed up again? At some point, I had texted her back and just said, I thank you for trusting me, and I will reach out to my dad. I'll have my sisters, and we'll offer some support. This is strange for me. I don't know my dad to be unsafe, right? But I also wanted to believe her, because I think it's important that we try to believe people. But her experience said that, he had changed, that she didn't feel safe. And I said, get yourself to a safe place then, and I'll follow with my dad. I then did call my dad and said, please don't do that. He said, I'm not going to hurt her. There's nothing, I said, she has asked you, and you need to respect that boundary. That's important that you, if she doesn't feel good, that you respect that.
So that ended the relationship, essentially.
That was it, yes.
Okay. What about,
Counsel, let me just.
I indicated at the beginning of the trial that if there was any evidence received for limited purpose, that I would give an instruction to the jury.
Sure.
So members of the jury, some evidence is received for a limited purpose only. When I instruct you that an item of evidence has been received for a limited purpose, you must consider it only for that limited purpose. In this case, this evidence was not offered as to the truth of what, is it Robin?
Robin Dale?
What Robin Dale said to the witness, but rather as to this witness's understanding of the relationship change.
That's correct. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Do you know Mark Harris?
I do. So that would be my brother-in-law's brother.
Your brother-in-law's brother? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So Shay is married to a Harris, right?
Correct.
And that Harris has a brother named Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did that relationship
Yes.
change, if you know?
I know they spent a lot of time before the accident together, and I don't believe they spend as much time.
Do you know why it changed?
I do not.
What about someone named Sakia, S-A-K-I-E, from Holland? You aware of that person?
Yeah, again, she had come over from the Netherlands, and that relationship didn't work out, and she left.
You mentioned a few things about this, but other than what you've already said, I don't want you to repeat what you've already said, but what about anger, his ability to control anger? Did that change?
Yeah, I think the frustration, the temper Yeah, very much so. I have a memory. My younger sister Jenny and I decided it was time to help clean out my grandparents' house. They had both passed away, and when they had passed away, you know, I had a new baby, my sister had a new job. It just didn't feel like a great time to actually clean out, sell the house, and so I could tell that that was really weighing on my dad's mind. Like, I need to go take care of that house, and so my younger sister and I...
Before you go on, just give us an approximate year and month if you can.
Yeah, summer of 2019.
Okay, thank you. Continue.
Yeah. So we were working hard. They were Depression era parents, so they didn't just have, you know, 2 pie plates. They had 16 pie plates, and we had a lot to clean out. We were getting up early and going to bed late. We had sold most of their furniture, so we were on like camp pads and bedrooms. We were kind of camping out as we were painting and cleaning and getting ready to put my grandparents' house on the market. And so pretty late in the evening, I had gone to meditate in one of the back bedrooms, and yeah, just take a break. And I stepped into one of the back bedrooms, and I heard my dad's voice elevate, and it didn't sound good. And I thought,
Angry voice or?
yeah, he was mad. And I thought, what's going on? I sat for a minute to see if anything changed, and I went into the kitchen, and my dad was in my younger sister's face. He was like 2 inches from her face, and he is so mad. He's so angry. And I don't know what the conversation or the disagreement was about, but he was saying, "Fuck you." He just kept repeating that over and over again. And my younger sister...
Anything like that in your life?
No.
Any relationship like that with your dad?
No, I've never felt scared of my dad. I don't think I ever received a spanking from my dad. I think he's been upset, but I have never seen... I was terrified, and I just said, no. Like, this has to stop, right? And it was just like, he was in shock of what he was doing too. And my sister didn't respond. It was terrible. It was terrible. And we had been there working so hard, and that was not anything that my sister deserved.
What about any changes in feeling overwhelmed and confused?
That's a big part of where he's at right now. Right? That's just, he is just befuddled, and yeah.
How about preoccupation with details?
Mm-hmm. We talked about that a little bit. I think that's where he's stuck. He can't really see the big picture.
So overwhelmed and confused, you think, is one of the big things that is plaguing him now?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. I think I'm about done here. Well, okay, just in conclusion, based on what you've seen since the ski crash, what do you see on the horizon for him? Tell the jury.
Yeah. I hope that he moves on. I hope that we're able to put this very strange chapter behind us. I think we don't always choose the doors that we walk through, but we can choose like how we walk through them. And so I think we have a lot of healing to do, and just that rehab, so that he doesn't feel that he feels empowered to live a good life to the end. He deserves that.
May I have one moment, Judge? Council table, thanks. No further questions, Judge.
It's been 1 hour.
Yeah, they can go to cross.
Thank you. So members of the jury, are we good to go 10 or 15 more minutes and then take our lunch break then? Okay, thank you. Let's do that. Mr. Owens. But there is a tissue box here.
You can call me Steve. Can I call you Polly?
Please do.
You and I haven't met, true?
Nice to meet you.
You too. We're okay, I guess. Thank you. All right. This is hard. This is a hard position you're in. Do you agree? This is not a happy thing that you're having to do.
Correct.
And let me just, I think my nephew, who was once worked with me, took your deposition before. Do you recall that?
Yeah, Wayne Owens.
And we'll talk about that after lunch. He also took the depositions of your two sisters. Have you ever reviewed their transcripts? Like, actually read them?
No.
How about summaries of them?
More of an oral, like, maybe my sister Shay would say. I did ask this.
And then this is our third day. I'm just wondering, have you watched any of the proceedings the prior 2 days?
No.
One thing that there was a fellow yesterday named Sam Goldstein, who's a neuropsychologist.
Mhm.
He said your dad is obsessed. He's sort of with this. Do you agree?
Oh, yes. I think at some point I had sent my dad a message that said, go for a walk. Please don't let this consume you, because I'm very aware that it has been consuming for him.
And in some sense, the resolution of this trial, whether it's for or against him, will be a good thing for him. Do you agree? Bring some closure for him
For everyone.
and him.
Mhm.
Yes?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, there's an audio, and so we always have to get your answer on the record. Thank you. Jenny is your little sister, right?
Correct.
Is she the one that your dad said F you to?
Correct.
Let me back up one more second. The whole lawsuit stems from, you understand that my client says that your dad plowed into her back. Do you understand at least that allegation?
I'm hearing that now.
And you don't personally know whether your dad did that or not, correct? You weren't present?
I was not skiing with him that day, no.
And when your dad talked to you about bringing the lawsuit, you had no opinion on it? Like, it's your thing. Is that fair?
I wanted to honor his journey. I think that's a big part, that we have autonomy. And so I would support my dad, whichever direction.
Sure, but you didn't say, I think it's a good idea, Dad, that you bring the lawsuit, or
I most definitely did not advise him one way or another.
Yeah.
I think in hindsight now, I would say it's hard.
Actually, I have no pending. Oh, it's hard.
It will be hard, right? I knew Dad.
I want you to see if you kind of preface some of the things I'm going to ask you. So when I hear you say before, he's generally a healthy guy, before very good personality, before very active, good mental health, you understand that to compare what the ski accident did versus old age versus chronic health conditions and everything, I need to know kind of how your dad was on health, personality, mental health, activity level, and those things just before the event.
Mm-hmm.
You with me?
Sure.
So a lot of, when I say, for instance, he never seemed angry. He never got that angry with me. Didn't you say that? Like, for instance, his anger toward,
That was a new
Jenny.
experience for
Yeah.
me.
but it wasn't for Jenny, was it? Jenny's reported like 10 years of that kind of abuse in the last 10 years of your parents' marriage. True?
I can't speak to Jenny's experience.
Do you know
Did
that?
I witness that towards Jenny? I never witnessed that towards
Did
Jenny.
Jenny ever tell you, like, your dad used to verbally abuse her and your mom for 10 years?
Jenny and I have a very
Yes.
close relationship.
Just a yes or no,
Your Honor,
please.
I object.
I need a yes or no.
I object, Your Honor. One quick question. There's no foundation. And it's also hearsay.
Your Honor, I need to be able to ask these questions.
Sustained.
Okay.
As to hearsay.
Do you agree that you paint quite a different picture of your dad before than Jenny does?
So my sister Jenny
Yes or no,
has
please?
mental disability.
I just have yes or no questions.
Objection. There's no foundation for this.
Okay,
It's
let me-
also hearsay.
Let me just give you a little instruction about, that I've already said in open court, so everybody else is gonna hear this for the second time, but when you're being cross-examined, it's not like a normal conversation. So the lawyer is entitled to ask you questions that limit your answer to yes or no, or I can't answer that yes or no. So those are basically your three choices. If he gives you that kind of a, sometimes he'll ask an open-ended question, but if he's asking the yes or no question, he's entitled to that answer. And then later, Mr. Sykes will be able to clarify if necessary.
Okay.
Sure.
Maybe another way to phrase this
Your Honor, I
too.
make some objections.
I don't have a pending question.
Well, you did.
It's withdrawn. Go ahead and ask a question,
Thanks.
Mr. Owens.
Yesterday, the jury heard through your dad's mental health providers that I'm going to try to read this so I'm not winging it. Your dad was controlling, highly controlling of her long before the ski accident. Have you ever heard that from Jenny?
Your Honor, I object to the form of the question that misstates the evidence.
Overruled. The jury will remember what the evidence was.
Yes or no?
Can you repeat?
Yes. Has Jenny ever, are you close to your sister Jenny?
Very.
Right. You're close to your sister Shay?
Yes.
All right. And always have been?
Yes.
Okay. Jenny didn't talk to your dad for 13 years after getting out of the house after high school. Is that true?
Object, there's no foundation for that.
No.
She can, it's not true?
Your Honor, I object.
13 years.
Just a minute. There's an
There's
objection.
no foundation.
Will you approach the bench, please?
So the objection is overruled?
Overruled?
Your Honor, may I have a continuing objection for the record on this line of questioning?
You may.
Thank you.
I'm going to tell you things that Jenny has told us under oath, and I want you to comment on them, okay? Is it true that Jenny moved out of her parents' household after high school?
Correct.
All right. And how much older are you than Jenny?
I'm 6 years older.
And how many years had you moved out of the house before Jenny moved out of the house?
So I moved out at 18, so she would have been 12. So she had 6 years at home without me.
Okay, and and would you describe your parents' marriage as a good marriage when you left 6 years before their?
They were in the middle of a divorce, and not an amiable one.
And his second divorce wasn't amicable either, was it?
Objection, no foundation.
Overruled.
She can always say, "I don't know the answer." So when he says foundation, if you don't know the answer, rather than hear this objection all the time, you can just say, "I don't know."
I don't know.
Judge, there's one judge in the courtroom, and it's not Judge Owens, so I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't try to explain to the witness what things mean.
That's, I am not a judge.
I think each questioner can give some ground rules to the witness, and I think it was appropriate, so.
Was the second marriage amicable?
I don't know.
Don't you really? You have no idea if your dad's second marriage parted peacefully or not peacefully?
I don't know.
Well, what's your impression? Like, what do you know? Like, the divorce went smoothly or it didn't go smoothly?
I know that they're friends today.
Okay, so your answer?
It seems like they've been able to continue a friendship anyway.
The jury heard evidence yesterday by Mr. Goldstein, Dr. Goldstein, that these words described your father before the ski accident, and I want you to tell me, just if you observed this, he was controlling.
No.
He relentlessly tried to mold people.
All people? Specific people?
Jenny,
I would say, yes, he did try to mold Jenny.
in a negative way.
I think he would say he was trying to be a positive influence.
I asked for your impression. Did you believe that's a positive thing?
I have no opinion on that.
Jenny has a pretty strong opinion on that, doesn't she?
She does.
That it was in an awful, unhealthy way. Is that her opinion?
Are those words used in her deposition?
Just ask.
Oh, go ahead.
I've been told not to read the deposition, so I'm just asking you to comment. Jenny believes it was an awful, unhealthy way. Do you agree?
No.
You think Jenny would say, by the way, let me ask about Jenny for a minute.
Yeah.
Have you talked to Jenny about this trial?
She knew I was coming. Mm-hmm.
Jenny committed in writing to attend this trial, and then,
I object, Your Honor, this is totally.
let me finish my question, and then pulled out.
Sustained as to relevance. The jury should disregard the question.
Do you know if Jenny's planning to attend this trial?
To answer that. Oh, she is not planning on attending.
Do you know that there was a point in time when she committed to attend this trial?
Overruled.
Are you
I
aware?
was not aware.
Or that she was planning to attend the trial?
Questions been asked and answered, so there's not relevance to any more questions along this line.
Did you or anyone you know attempt to dissuade her from attending this trial?
No, she felt like it would be a financial hardship. I said I would be happy to pay for her airplane ticket if she wanted to come.
I did too. Do you know that?
That's totally irrelevant.
I think the witness opened it up, so.
Do you know that I did? I offered to pay too.
No, I did not know.
So did you weigh in on that, Jenny? I don't think it's good for you to attend the trial.
No, not at all. I honor people's journey, and so that's entirely up to her.
Do you,
Lunch yet?
2 minutes?
Okay, go ahead.
Do you believe with this statement, with Jenny, your dad was constantly overstepping her boundaries?
Jack? No foundation.
Overruled, there's a standing objection on that.
Standing objection. Yes or no?
Again, repeat.
He was constantly overstepping the boundaries she set. Agree or disagree?
Agree.
He would be frequently frustrated if his expectations were not met.
Agree.
He had a very strong emphasis on discipline.
With Jenny?
Sure,
Agree.
he had very high demands and would be very frustrated if his expectations were not met.
Disagree.
Okay, and to be clear, we're all talking about pre-ski collision, true?
Correct.
All right. That he was domineering to Jenny and your mother.
Disagree.
Okay, I'm going to split those because that was a compound question, we call it. So as to Jenny, was he domineering and emotionally and verbally abusive to her prior to the ski collision?
Disagree.
So she made that up. She's testified under oath. She made that up.
It's her experience. So
I want
you're
the
asking
truth.
my opinion, and I think you have her experience.
Is she lying? I mean,
Objection, Your Honor, that's improper.
Are you saying there's one
Just a
truth?
Second.
Yeah, just a second.
on certain facts, there.
Counsel, I have
Sure.
an objection. What's the
Yeah,
objection?
Your Honor, I don't think he can ask if someone else is lying. He doesn't know that. It's an improper question.
This is her sister, Your
I
Honor,
mean,
who
he can
she's
ask her
very
what the
close
facts-
to.
just a minute, fellas. He can ask her what the facts are, you know, and the jury can make up its own mind, but he shouldn't be concluding for someone that's not here whether she's telling the truth or not. It's improper.
I mean, under certain circumstances, a lay witness can offer an opinion. I don't think I've heard enough foundation for that opinion, so sustained.
Thank you.
So if Jenny says that your father was domineering, do you agree or disagree prior to the ski accident?
Disagree.
And if she so testifies, and we're going to read part of her transcript into the record, if she so testifies, that is not true. He was not domineering. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying he was not domineering.
So if Jenny says he was,
That
Are-
is her testimony.
and you would disbelieve it,
My testimony would say he was not domineering.
Would you
Her testimony is that he was.
right? So they can both be true.
Objection argumentative.
Overruled.
So depending on people's mental capabilities and disabilities, sometimes we experience events differently.
Is it possible that, for instance, your dad wasn't domineering with you, but he was with Jenny?
I think it is possible. I wasn't home.
Sure.
I was in college for many of those years.
Your dad was verbally abusive to Jenny before the ski accident. Agree or disagree?
Disagree.
Your dad was emotionally and verbally abusive to your mother before the ski accident. Agree or disagree?
I think he could have done better, but I wouldn't call it domineering and abusive. No.
Have you known your dad to go up and, are you aware that he went up and just punched a guy once?
I was not aware of that.
You've never heard that your dad punched your mother's, you've never heard that?
No, sir.
That your dad believed your mother was having an affair and went and punched the guy out? You don't know this?
I don't know that.
Okay. It's probably a good time to break. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll break now, or recess now for lunch, returning at 1:30. All right, so we're recessed until 1:30. Is there any need for the court to come back sooner?
5 minutes sooner. On these character type questions, I want to kind of preview some things because rather than get objections every 3 questions. So I do.
Let's come 15 minutes early then. So 1:15.
1:15.
Thank you.
Thank you.